Hi guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. And this is 5 years left part 2. We are going to continue from where we left off when I received the phone call where I was just about to finish reading a dream I had. So let's pick up from there kindly. I can feel the effect of the little poison that she injected me with, but I'm adamantly confessing, refusing its effect. I wake up. Now, I attributed this to something I was going through, or rather, my interpretation then was the reason I had this dream was because I was allowing a lot of negativity into my life, which was poisoning me. It was really, really bad. So I thought maybe that is the meaning of this dream, that God is telling me, if I continue allowing negativity into my life, it's going to poison me and all that. Like I should focus on more positive things. But maybe it was that. But maybe it was also that and the things they are planning to and are already putting, the foods we eat, the things we drink. Maybe it's both of them or one or the other, right? But now after going online and seeing people saying they are having the same dream about being injected with poisonous things, I'm like, whoa, it's maybe nothing to do with my negativity or positivity, but an actual another pandemic where they're gonna, of course, try to inject people with all sorts of madness. And so this one, this is what I was telling you. Let me just cover it, and then now we can go to the fourth one and be done with it. Thank you, guys. Now the fourth one, guys, is the helicopter one. The one he talks about people being afraid to even pray because if they catch you, you're going to be in big trouble. And it's at 28 minutes and 44 seconds up to 29 minutes and 26 seconds. That's where he talks about it. And like I told you, I had a dream like this. And this is what I have here in front of us, where you're literally given 4 minutes to worship. So I didn't screenshot this one because it's too, you see how it's written in such a handwriting that is quite hectic to read on the screen. So I decided to do it live. This is where I wrote it, and as you can see, this is 7th of June 2021. 7th of June or either the other way around, 6th of July or 7th of June. But the point is, this was in 2021, and this was at 1:50 a.m. Usually, if I would have a dream, it didn't matter what time, I would wake up and write it down. Even just scribble it down, which is why you see the handwriting, because this is someone who was who was sleeping and they have to wake up and write, so it's not very neat. And I won't read the whole of it because it's a chunk, but this is the part I want to read about the helicopter. So yeah, we are at a party, we go down, then there is this part now. One of the chick leaves, girls, one of the girl leaves, but after quite a while, people start dropping down and I follow. They are pointing to the sky to what looks like a big constellation of stars. I'm awed and starting to get excited. Yeah, awed and excited. But zinazibwa, meaning this what seems like a constellation of stars is being blocked by clouds, by sort of clouds. When they become clear, they are not stars but blue war aircrafts with army policemen. I hear someone say in mockery that these are the aircrafts going around dispersing or threatening Christian gatherings if they last even 4 minutes longer than scheduled time. I'm somewhat disturbed in my spirit to hear this. Anyway, we go back to the house where I clean one side of a glass side of. So now this is me continuing with the dream, because remember we were at a party and then this happens, and so I won't finish it, but I want you to see how I have noted here at the end that Ephesians chapter 6 verses 10 to 18, where it tells us to put the whole armor of God. Where it tells us to put the whole armor of God. Because imagine, guys, if we are being given 4 minutes of worship, that's just insane, incredible, unbelievable. And again, these dreams that I keep having, they're like a prophecy unfolding. Sometimes they may seem like one thing and then they turn out to be another, and then sometimes they are just what they seem to be, straightforward, nothing much to it. And so for me at this time, because already there was that issue of you can't go to church, that is when virtual spaces were created, you worship in your home online. So I imagine that it's possibly that, like I told you in the beginning, I had not understood that my dreams are kind of like prophetic dreams, and you know how prophecy unfolds. Sometimes it's not so obvious, and it's until it unfolds that you start to understand, or when it has already happened that now you understand, oh, so this is what this was. So that has been in the closet, or rather this dream has been in the closet until now. Like I told you, I heard the prophet talking about all these things, and talking about how people will even be afraid to pray, like in this which I'm telling you, minute 28 and 44 seconds to 29 and 26 seconds. Then I'm like, he's making a lot of sense. And I was gonna make this video very short, right? Because in fact, I was just going to make one video, but after I received the phone call and I had to do a couple of other things, and then I came to finish this, then it occurred to me. Because guys, I'm going to tell you something a bit personal here. Not personal in that sense, but a little bit personal. So while I am having in mind to shoot this video for these 5 years left, something happened, something unfortunate, and I won't get into the details, but it made me get into a fast. It made me get into a fast because it was a really unpleasant thing, and it's one of those things that make you feel like things have to change, they cannot remain the same. And while I am in the fast, I was just drinking water. I didn't know how long I'm going to do it for. I was going to just do it until I can't do it anymore, or until something happens. And while we are at it, allow me to grab my Bible. I told you on my phone, I can't just flip-flop back and forth, so let me first grab my Bible because I want to show you something to connect all these things together, and maybe or hopefully it will make sense to you the way it's making sense to me. So I'm contemplating sharing this information with you when this unfortunate thing happens. And I've mentioned in another video, in one of my videos, that by the grace of God, I have been able to read a chapter of the Bible a day. I read it once, all of it, from Genesis to Revelations, but then now this time I want to read it more slowly, and by God's grace I have been able to do a chapter a day most days, maybe 98% or 97%, but there are a few days that I skipped. And now this is when you connect things and you're like, is this just a coincidence? Again, coincidence, or is God saying something? So on this day that I decide to go for a fast, was it the second or the third day? I don't recall. Just last week, I am sleeping, and then a voice calls my name. It's not the first time. A voice calls my name in the middle of the night. It just calls me. And then I say, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." And then 1, 2, 3, I get up, I do this, that. And then when I get back on the bed and I'm seated there, I just feel to read the Bible. So I take my Bible and guess where I'm supposed to continue reading, and I have already skipped a few days. So this day, I find that I'm supposed to continue on Genesis chapter 45. So after skipping or not reading the Bible for a few days, I come to Genesis chapter 45. This is where I must continue reading. So I won't even focus on the 5 in this chapter, but if you can, kindly, because I cannot read the whole. I mean, I can, but it would be better if you read it for yourself because it's a whole page. It's a whole page. So this is where Joseph reveals himself to his brothers who sold him when he was just a young boy because they didn't like him, they didn't like his dreams, they were jealous of him because his father loved him so much. So this is Genesis chapter 45 where it talks about that, where he reveals himself to his brothers and he's telling them, don't worry, you sold me for a reason. And there's a reunion when they come to buy food from him, from Egypt, from Canaan the second time. So now, this verse 6 here is what caught my attention as I read that night, that 2 years there has already been famine. But guess what? There are 5 more years left, in which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. So notice that. And then we read all the way down here until we get to this other verse here. This where he says, to verse 22, it says to all of them, to all his brothers. Verse 22, to all of them he gave each man changes of raiment, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment. Got that? There we have the 5 again. And even here, verse 11. And there will I nourish thee, for yet they are of famine, lest you and your household and all that you have come to poverty. So my beloved people, I've had to change location, but no worries. We were on Genesis chapter 45. 5. The first 5 is there. And then verse 6, we realize there is another 5 there. Talking about the famine has 5 more years to go. And then also verse 11, it also talks about the 5 years of famine again, and God is saying that he will, Joseph is telling his brothers that he will provide for them so that they do not come to poverty. And verse 22, where he gives his brother Benjamin 5 changes of clothes. So my focus is on the 5s, because now the prophet, here is a prophet talking about 5 years left for you to get your house in order, or things are not going to be good for you. I don't know. So I don't know how long this whole thing is going to last. I don't know what's going to happen after the 5 years are over. How is life going to look like? But the whole point is to be ready, or to be prepared within this remaining 5 years, meaning from now, 2026, up to 2030. And I would really ask kindly that you go and watch this prophet's video all the way to the end. I'm not trying to scare you, because there are people who do not want to hear such things, or they think, you're just overreacting, or you're being too much. You're doing too much. And I probably would too, if not, like I mentioned before, that almost all the things I've had him talk about have come to pass. And also, if not for the fact that I've had these kind of dreams that point to the kind of issues he's talking about. So I would advise that you go and listen to him. It doesn't hurt to be prepared, because just like he says, lest you say nobody told me, nobody warned me. So you will have no excuse. Okay? But so now on top of everything I've talked about, and like I had started to mention, I decided to go on a fast, because after listening to this, and then something really unfortunate happens that gets me into a fast I had not even planned for, an indefinite fast, till something happens or things change, because God forbid 5 years should find me as I am. And then what happened, the other strange thing with 5, I am on my 5th day of fasting, and I will not get into the details of it, but guess what? I am so weak, can barely anything. I told you here where I have my B&B, I usually come to clean. On Saturday, and I couldn't even do it on that Saturday. I was like, if you saw me, it wasn't funny. Have you been hungry against your will? I mean, not like even when you choose to be, it hurts. But I couldn't just carry a bucket up the stairs, washing a little bit. I am, panting. And so I was like, wow, unless I'm going to lock myself up in a room and do nothing, Otherwise, if I'm gonna keep working, I cannot not eat anything. And so I decided I will eat every Friday so that I have energy for Saturday. Or if I get a client, like, I have to keep my energy up. I can't do this like the way I've had people doing, where they lock themselves up in rooms for months and nothing, because I still need to survive. I have to take care of myself. I need money, you see. And so it was very hard for me that Saturday. And then I made that decision. But guess what? For lack of a better word, God sent me an angel, not a literal angel, but an angel in human form. And I had to break my fast after, guess how many? 5 days. So for me, it's not a joke. For you, it may be nothing, you know. But for me, I've learned to connect things, and I'm not saying I'm always right, but I've learned to connect things, and especially when it comes to how God speaks, because God will rarely come. And Moses was so lucky. Moses was very lucky that God could speak to him like the way we're talking. So for me, just a little bit, maybe I will hear a literal voice of God in different forms, like the way I'm telling you, he called my name that night. And it got me to reading this Genesis 45 that has all this 555 imagery. And to understand God, he speaks in so many different ways. So you have to be very keen, as they say in the spirit realm, to discern, to decipher what he's telling you. So me, all these number five are not coincidences to me. This is God talking to me. And all I want to say is think about it, pray on it, talk to somebody about it, do what you can. And that's why I'm saying, please listen to this man's video, because he will tell you everything that I cannot. He's the one who received the message. He's the one who tells you, who gives you the solutions, because he says this is not one of those things that you pray about and things change, like the virus that they are trying to bring in India. And like in that case, for the case of that one, he said pray about it, because prayer will change things. It will not make it as strong. So, but in this one, he says no. This is going to happen. These things are going to happen. So, as much as you're praying, you have to do physical work of getting yourself prepped. Now, so it's better to be ready. Like they say, better what than sorry, right? And so I want to thank you for listening, but don't just listen. Let this be something that you're learning from, not just listening and it goes over your head. I pray that you're picking something. Yeah, sometimes we make videos for fun, sometimes, but this one I would kindly, because even me, this is why I'm fasting, and I don't know whether I'm done yet. I feel like God has answered me, yes, but I'm not sure I'm done yet, because if what the prophet says is true, God forbid I should remain like that forever. Can you imagine? You're under the system. You have no say. You have no voice, no control. That thing we keep saying, they want to control you. And then life is like that until you're normal. So also me, this I'm still crying for myself. I am interceding for myself, because things have to change in my life. I don't know if your life is all set, is all good, you don't need anything to change in your life. I really had to share this with you guys for all the reasons that I've mentioned. And I wish you all the best. And let's keep connecting here. God bless you mightily and show you the way that you should go. Thank you. And God bless. Amen.